Again, I appreciate your opportunity to be here. I'll answer any questions that anyone has. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but willing to answer any questions. Yes, ma'am.
So what the heck are we going to do about these charter schools and this waste of money?
We have to change the legislation, first of all, and we have to put more constraints on the charter schools. And we've had it here in Dayton, as you well know, the papers where they have financially, money has been missing. There's no checks and balances on that like there are in the public schools, charter school checks and balances. Every public audited, by a state-approved auditing program or by the state auditors. They come in and audit us every year. Charter schools don't get that kind of audit. They don't have that oversight. They don't have a school board that looks over to make sure things are going the way they should be going.
Problem with the world.
Well, you know, what happened is when, you know, the Republicans were in complete power when that all went into effect. They were so bent on getting charter schools, they didn't worry about the ramifications later. So they just put the legislation in, here you go ahead and operate. They never put all the regulations in and require them to meet the financial responsibilities that our public schools do. So we have to change that. We have to make sure, in my opinion, that they're controlled by your local school boards, the people you elect that are in charge of those charter schools. And that way you don't have this problem that you have now. We had the problem, as you know, with the test scores. The principal was giving the answers to the kids. So in 1 year, those scores jumped up from being in the 50s to being in the hundreds, you know. It was just crazy. Well, they found out what had happened. There's not the oversight there because there's not a local school board looking after them. They're for-profit. They set up for-profit corporations, I forget the name of it, Top Hat or White Hat or something. The guy from Brennan from Akron runs with most of these. He's a for-profit that he sets up these organizations supposed to be non-for-profit, but the money they get from us ends up going to those organizations, so they're for-profit organizations. So what do you think they're going to do? If they're trying to make money off of them, they're not there to help the kids. So we've got to change the law. We've got to bring it in, but right now there's not the push to do that. There's a lot of other things education has issues with, and that's something we're going to have to deal with eventually. I know Cary has an issue that didn't pass this last time. We've had an issue in Centerville that didn't pass 2 times ago. We luckily passed it the next time we put it on. We cannot continue to rely on property taxes. We've got to change that. The Constitution, it was unconstitutional, found to be unconstitutional 4 different times, but nothing's ever happened about it. Nothing's ever been done. We've got to change the way we finance schools. But that takes an initiative. And right now, even though Governor Strickland's in there, and even though we have a House controlled by Democrats, there's not enough initiative to do that. Of course, our economic times have changed a lot since all that too. There was a time back in the 90s, even in the early 2000s, where there was an opportunity to do that, and no effort was made to do that. There wasn't a big enough push. We've got to change that. We cannot continue to rely on property taxes. People are just going to revolt, and then your schools are going to go down, then property values will go down. We're going to have all the kind of issues go down there. It's been done in other states. It's been done in Michigan. It's been done in Texas. It's been done even in Kentucky, where they've got off the property taxes as the main basis for supporting them. But it takes an initiative to do that. We're probably going to have to increase either income taxes or sales taxes or both. But then we get it off of property taxes. So you get your property taxes reduced substantially, but we have to bring the money in somehow. It doesn't just disappear. We still need the money. But if you don't have it in property taxes, you come from other directions. If you do a combination of income tax and property tax, you know, the gambling is not going to do it. People say, well, you're going to get all this money from these casinos. It's just not going to happen. There's not enough money there to do it. So there's other things we have to do, but it's going to take some time, but it's going to take some effort, and no one's right now pushed that, and that's what I'm going to really try to emphasize when I get elected. Yes, ma'am.
I get Terry Blair's newsletter, and one of the things that actually provoked me to write to him about was he made a statement that Ohio doesn't have a revenue problem, Ohio has a spending problem. And I wrote back, I said, you know, everybody's got a revenue problem.
Right.
Look all over the world.
Right.
And, you know, how would you answer a statement?
Well, again, it goes to Terry Blair's core belief. He believes in no government, not just less government, no government. So his idea was just let the private sector handle anything. And we know that that's not going to happen anyway. I mean, we see some of the problems we have when we don't have controlled private industry already. You can look anywhere you want to. The whole problem with Wall Street is got involved in that. So his idea is just cut spending wherever. Well, that's an easy thing to say. It's been said before, and it's not mine. We spend in Ohio most of the money, just like most states, on education, prisoning people, and Medicaid. Okay, that's where medication, incarceration, and education. Well, we don't want any money cut from education if we can avoid it, even though they have been doing that, because we think that's important. If you get the education in, then you're going to solve a lot of other problems, a lot of societal problems. People who have the drop out of high school, don't complete even part of high school, are the ones more likely to go out and commit crimes. Well, then you have to put that person in prison, and then you have to spend money on incarcerating him. So we don't want to do that. You know, you hear everyone says we got to keep people in prisons longer, and we all agree that those people who are committing really bad crimes need to be in prison. There's no question about that. But it costs money, and you can't continue to cut back and eliminate the personnel to watch them, because then you have other kind of problems you run into. And just like the governor experienced, you don't have people watching the prisoners at the mansion. They start doing things maybe they shouldn't be doing. But part of that is a result of they've cut back. They don't have as many people. And you can only do that so much, because if you don't have enough people, then you get into other issues. Then we don't want to eliminate the Medicaid issues. We don't want to reduce there, because we have people who really have needy things. So ask Terry Blair, okay, we spend most of the money on those three things. What are you going to cut? You know, Governor Strickland had to make some tough decisions in the last budget, and we had the tower issue. I forget the name of the full name, Twin Tower, whatever the tower is, where they cut for the mentally disabled. But he got a lot of flack for that. But you look at it and say, okay, where is it that you want me to cut? We have to cut somewhere. So people can say that all they want, but when you ask them, can we cut what you enjoy? They go, no, don't cut this. Cut over here.
Not my grandma.
Right, exactly right. You know, so it's where you're going to do that, and we all know that you can't continue to do that. You can't ask the employees of the state to say, you take a 0% wage increase for the next 10 years. Is that realistic for them? I mean, when they've already taken cuts, a lot of the employees got 0% increases for 3 years, plus they had to take so many days off, up to a week, without pay. So not only did you get not increases, they actually lost money. And that's okay, we're in problems, but can you do that for the next 10 years? Of course not.
Well, if you lay them all off, then you have to pay them unemployment, so we might as well at least have.
Well, and then the services that you want are available.
Yeah.
And we want services. So it's a tough problem. I mean, no one wants to pay more taxes. I mean, you ask people in a group, I don't care how big a size it is, people raise their hands, please, who want to increase their taxes. You're not going to get any people to do that. Not too many, right? It's going to be very few of them. But when you start saying, okay, tell me what you want cut, one person will say A, and the other says, no, that affects me, don't cut A. The other one says, well, let's cut B, and says, no, I need B. So it's a real problem. You can't do that. So if we're going to maintain what we think, and I think most people say, the style of commitment we have to our populace, our people, which is what we're all about, then you're going to have money to do it with. And it just can't be stagnated. And, you know, you'll hear Houston say, and you'll hear Terry Blair say, he wasn't in then, oh, we cut income tax by 22% over the last when I was in office. And that's really good. Okay, fine. But what kind of a mess have we got in now? Is that what we really wanted to do? And as you all know, most of that went to the people who are very rich. But that's a different issue. It's okay, but what are you going to now do with all the lack of things that we don't have now because of the lack of funds? And that's a big issue. So that's what I would respond. Tell me, what are you going to cut there? How are you going to do that when we spend most of the money on these three things? Now you got this little bit of money over here, and we've got to do other things with that. And he won't be able to give you an answer. Say, well, let's just redo it, we'll worry about it later. Well, it's easy to say, it's hard to implement.